When the 17-year-old girl climbed out of her bedroom window that January night in 2018, she had no idea what true freedom felt like. Imagine never stepping outside without permission. The California air hit her lungs like ice, sharp and unfamiliar, right? She'd rehearsed this moment in her mind for years, but as she dashed through the dark streets, her legs shook with fear and excitement. Clutching the old phone she'd scavenged from her parents' house, she felt a flicker of hope. She had taken pictures, proof that the horrors inside those walls were real, because who would believe her otherwise? When she dialed 911, her voice trembled with confusion and desperation. "I just ran away from home," she told the dispatcher, each word spilling out like a secret. "My parents are abusive. There's 13 of us. My 2 little sisters are chained up right now." It was like she was stating a fact she had accepted long ago, unaware that this simple sentence would unravel one of the most chilling cases in modern history. Police met her at the corner of Muir Woods Road in Paris, California. She looked so fragile and pale that they mistook her for a 10-year-old, but she was actually 17. Her hair was a tangled mess, her hands shook uncontrollably, and her speech was hesitant, each word colliding with fear. When they asked where she lived, she pointed toward the house, the beige one with closed blinds, devoid of movement or sound. It was a moment that would change everything. Inside that house, David and Louise Turpin were asleep, confident in the silence they'd built around themselves. The neighbors saw them as odd but harmless. The Turpins smiled in photos, dressed their children in matching outfits, even renewed their wedding vows in Vegas. Every smile rehearsed, every gesture a layer of disguise. Inside that house, the air was absolutely rancid. The smell hit the officers like a brick wall before they even stepped inside, a gut-wrenching mix of decay, waste, and neglect that clung to everything. The floors, coated in grime, sticky and dark. Feces smeared the walls and bed frames, a horrifying sight that screamed for help. Toys and garbage were piled high in corners, remnants of a childhood lost. The children stood frozen when police entered, their eyes wide with confusion and fear, unsure whether this was a rescue or just another cruel trick. Some of them were chained to beds, the cold metal cuffs biting painfully into their frail wrists and ankles. They looked emaciated, limbs stiff and thin, skin ghostly white from the complete lack of sunlight. It was heartbreaking. When one officer asked for their names, several hesitated, looking at each other with blank stares. They didn't even know how to spell them. Most didn't even know their own ages, a chilling reality of their isolation. David and Louise Turpin claimed to be strict Christians, home educators following a private curriculum registered with the state. But that so-called school was nothing but a facade. There were no lessons, no books, no freedom at all. The kids were completely isolated, denied not just food, but also language, play, and human contact. Days blurred into years, with meals reduced to mere bread crusts and peanut butter while their parents feasted on fast food right in front of them. It's gut-wrenching to think about, right? Louise kept a Facebook page filled with smiling family portraits, all staged in matching dresses or suits, but behind each image was punishment. One daughter later recalled being beaten with a belt for washing her hands above the wrist, wasting water, her mother said. Another was chained for stealing a spoon of peanut butter. The children weren't allowed to shower more than once a year. They forgot what it meant to feel clean. When David was arrested, he seemed dazed, like a man who believed he'd done nothing wrong. Louise wept and asked if her children were okay, her tone almost cheerful. Their delusion was so deep it bordered on performance. They'd convinced themselves they were raising a perfect family, chosen by God, misunderstood by the world. In the weeks that followed, the world was absolutely horrified to learn just how deep the Turpin nightmare really ran. Can you believe it? The children, ranging from just 2 years old to 29, had been held captive for decades. Some of them were adults who still slept in cribs, too weak to even move on their own. They had never seen a doctor, never been vaccinated, and school, that was just a fantasy. One officer described the scene as like stepping into a horror movie except the monsters were the parents. It's chilling, right? When the 911 call recording was finally released, it sent shivers down everyone's spine. The girl's voice trembled, soft but full of determination. Sometimes I can't breathe because of how dirty the house is. We live in filth. Hearing her, you could feel the weight of her reality like she was trapped in a nightmare that was all too real. It was gut-wrenching to listen to. In court, the truth poured out slowly. The prosecutors displayed photos of the room's beds chained to frames, piles of trash, open cans of food long spoiled. One of the children, now speaking freely, told the court we weren't even allowed to laugh. If we laughed, we got punished. Another said she didn't know what a police officer was until that night. When the verdict came down life in prison for both David and Louise, the courtroom felt heavy with silence, broken only by the muffled sobs of the children sitting together, finally free from their nightmare. You could see the tears streaming down Louise's face as the judge read the sentence, but David, his expression was completely blank, like he was lost in a world of his own, still clinging to some twisted idea of what being a father meant. But here's the thing, freedom didn't magically fix everything. The kids were thrown into a whole new world, and let me tell you, it was a roller coaster ride. They had to learn how to eat without feeling that deep shame creeping in, and sleeping without that constant fear of being watched was a challenge. It was tough. Some were too traumatized to stay together, while others clung to each other tightly, like shipwreck survivors gripping a raft in a stormy sea. They had to figure out what birthdays even meant, how to celebrate those special days filled with cake and laughter, and what it truly felt like to have friends. Talking about their pain was like walking on eggshells. They were scared they might break if they opened up too much. Fast forward a few years, and some of these incredible individuals have bravely stepped into the light to share their stories. Can you imagine that? They talk about rediscovering the little joys in life, like feeling the sun on their faces for the first time, which must feel like a warm hug after years of darkness. Hearing music that makes their hearts dance is a huge deal, right? It's like finding a piece of themselves they thought was lost forever. And then there's the warmth of kindness from strangers who treat them like they actually matter. How beautiful is that? One girl has this beautiful dream of becoming a nurse, wanting to help others heal just like she did. Isn't that just incredible? It's like she's taking all that pain and turning it into purpose, using her experiences to lift others up. You know, it has such a powerful thing when someone takes their struggles and transforms them into a passion for helping others. It's like she wants to give back all the love and care she missed out on. Another girl simply wishes to see the ocean, which is such a sweet reminder of how vast and wonderful the world can be, full of endless possibilities. Just picture it. The sound of waves crashing, the salty breeze brushing against her skin, and the endless horizon stretching out before her, inviting her to explore. It's like she's dreaming of freedom, of a life beyond those four walls, and that dream feels so alive and vibrant. That small wish, so ordinary, yet so profoundly human, echoes louder than all the horror they've faced. It's a testament to their resilience, right? After everything they've endured, the real miracle isn't just that they survived, it's that they still know how to hope. Just think about it. After years of darkness, they still dream of simple things like feeling the sun on their skin or tasting ice cream on a hot day. And that hope, it shines brighter than any darkness they've left behind, lighting the way for a future filled with love, laughter, and new beginnings. It's truly inspiring, don't you think? It reminds us that no matter how tough life gets, there's always a spark of light waiting to break through. These girls show us that dreams can bloom even in the harshest conditions. It's a beautiful lesson for all of us, no matter where we come from. We can always find a way to rise and chase those dreams.